Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of review for upcoming test. So, avoiding financial schemes and fraud. Okay, number one, minority groups, religious groups, and community organizations are examples of target groups for which type of scheme? Is it the affinity fraud, Ponzi scheme, pyramid scheme, or elevator scheme? Okay, the answer, if you'll remember, is affinity fraud. That's when a religious group or a minority group or like a garden club, a different club, someone joins and builds the trust of those people because they are people with like interest and so forth, and then they scam them. You know, they I think the example that we had was when they offered the fertilizer. They were a member of a garden club and they offered the fertilizer, and they could get it in bulk for $1,000 instead of $2,000, and they took $1,000 from all the members and left. Those are affinity fraud. It's used against minority groups, religious groups, groups that have something in common and they build trust. Okay, number two. Which of the following is the fast-growing form of fraud in the United States? The fastest-growing fraud in the United States. Is it the 419 fraud, identity theft, affinity scheme, or pyramid scheme? Okay, if you'll remember, identity theft. Identity theft is the fastest-growing form of fraud in the United States because it's become easy to try to get a hold of someone's information. So it's identity theft. Number three, which of the following is not a way to avoid identity theft? Okay, check your financial information regularly. Okay, that would help you prevent identity theft if you checked your financial records often. View a copy of your credit report. That definitely would, because it would tell you if someone other than yourself had been using your credit. Maintain accurate records of all financial transactions. Well, that of course would, because then the more you keep up with what you're doing, then you know that if something varies from that, then it may be identity theft. Throw away receipts and statements containing private information. Okay, that would be the answer, because you don't want to throw away stuff that might have your personal information, because that's just a risk that someone else is going to get a hold of it and perpetrate identity theft. Number four, which of the following can be described as a hierarchy for which individuals who join make payments to those above them? So we know that is not the affinity scheme, because that's against minority groups and people of like interest. Is it the pyramid scheme? Yes, it's the pyramid scheme, because people above them are the ones who make the money. So it's a hierarchy where the top makes money and on down the chain or the pyramid people lose money. It wouldn't be the 419 fraud, because you remember that is the Nigerian scam where they send an email or a letter asking you to put that they just need, they're a wealthy business person and they're claiming that they just need to use your bank account to get money out of the country. So it wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be identity theft. So the answer is a pyramid scheme. Okay, number five. Which of the following is not a way to avoid a pyramid scheme? Okay, which way is not a way to avoid it? Find out if the plan involves a training program, research the company involved before signing a contract, shred any document which contains personal information, or call the Better Business Bureau to inquire about the company. So of course this would be, which one is not a way? So you need to find out if the plan involves a training program for sure. You need to research the company involved before signing it. Shred any document which contains personal information. So you want to do that. Okay, so it would be C, because shredding document would not affect a pyramid scheme. You do need to call the Better Business Bureau to check that company. You do need to research the company, and you do need to find out if the plan involves a training program. But shredding document is a good thing, but it's not going to help you avoid the pyramid scheme. Okay, number 1. You receive an email from a woman claiming her father was poisoned by business associates, but before his passing placed $12 million in a secret account for her. To safely use the money, she must first move it to a bank account in another country. She is offering 15% of the funds for your help. She asks you to wire funds to her in order to pay taxes that will release the money. Which type of fraud is this an example of? Is it bank fraud, 419 fraud, phishing, or skimming? Okay, it's definitely not phishing because they're not phishing for information. It's not skimming because that involves credit card fraud. It could be bank fraud, or it could be 419 fraud. So she's claiming she's somebody else and she's trying to get the money to another country. So that should lead you to B, 419 fraud. So the answer is B, 419 fraud. She's telling you, she's claiming that she's someone she's not, and says she's got all this money in a secret account for her, and she's trying to get you to give your bank account information out and let her put that money in your account to get it out of the country. So it's 419 fraud. Okay, number 2. You receive an email that appears to legitimately be from your bank. Okay? The email indicates the need for verification of your information and provides a link to their site in order for you to enter the information. Which type of bank fraud is this an example of? Well, we know it's not a 419 fraud because they're not claiming that they're someone they're not. They're not telling you that they need to get the money out of out of their country into your country. It's not skimming because skimming again involves credit card fraud. Is it phishing or check kiting? It's not check kiting because that involves writing checks. It's phishing. They're phishing for your information. They're trying to get you to click on that link. It's going to look like a legitimate site, and it's going to ask you to update your information. So they're phishing for your information, which is going to lead probably to them stealing your identity. So it's phishing, B. Okay, number 3. Which type of fraud can be completed with only your name, address, and phone number? It's not government document fraud. You would have to have more information. It's not phishing because that involves sending an email with a link to click. Insurance fraud, it would not be. Utilities fraud. Utilities fraud is one of the most common things that is perpetrated against people because all they need is your name, address, and phone number. So they're getting utilities opened using your name, address, and phone number. Number 4, which type of fraud is the most common in society? Is it credit card fraud, utilities fraud, insurance fraud, or telemarketing fraud? Utilities fraud is the second most common. The first most common involves plastic. So it's credit card fraud. Credit card fraud is the most common in society. So it's A. Which of the following is not a type of insurance fraud? Okay, arson, we know that's burning something down. So that would be insurance fraud because you have insurance on your car and your house. So if that burns, then your insurance is going to cover it. Staged auto accident, that's where you might slam on your brakes and have someone hit you from behind because then it's their fault and the insurance is going to have to cover it. So that's kind of a staged auto accident. Owning multiple policies. So that is also an insurance fraud because if you have multiple policies and you do something, then you're going to get paid from different policies when in reality you've only had one loss and you should only get paid one time. And then stolen card fraud. That's not an insurance fraud because someone just steals your card. You steals your debit card, credit card, gets money out of your account. It doesn't have anything to do with insurance. So it's D. Okay, number 1. You receive an email claiming you are one of 3 names drawn from millions and you have won $2 million. All you have to do is send some personal information and the money will be released to you. What type of scam is this an example of? Is it credit repair? No. Is it prizes and lottery, employment scams, or door-to-door scams? Well, the answer is B. It's prizes and lotteries. They're trying to get you, they're telling you you've won millions of dollars and all you have to do is send some personal information and then they're going to release it to you. It's a scam because they're trying to get your information. So it's prizes and lottery. Number 2. Which type of scam includes the scammer selling information of no value and can be a pyramid scheme? They're selling information of no value. Is it prizes and lotteries, door-to-door scams, email scams, or employment scams? Well, it's not prizes and lotteries. Is it door-to-door scams, email scams, or employment scams? They're selling information of no value. It's employment scams. They're trying to sell you information on how to get rich quick by doing something. Like we mentioned flipping houses, or doing some type of investing, how to invest, things like that. Employment scams. Number 3. Which type of scam can be promoted by spam mail and often contains viruses? It's not credit repair. It's not prizes and lottery. It's not an employment scam. That would be an email scam. They're sending you something that they want you to click on and it makes a virus on your, a virus or a worm on your computer. So it's email scams, C. Number 4, which type of scam can result in individuals violating federal laws such as obtaining a false social security number? Okay, this is a credit repair. Because if they're offering you a way to repair your credit and it involves violating federal laws by obtaining a false social security number, then that is credit repair. Number 5, how frequently should passwords and PIN numbers be changed? At least every day? Well, I hope not. No more than 1 year? At least every 6 months or no more than every 6 months? Okay, so it recommends at least every 6 months. So the answer is C, at least every 6 months. Okay, number 1, what preys upon members of identifiable groups by using their affiliation within the group? So we've had this one before. It's not Ponzi schemes. It's not identity theft. It's affinity fraud. They prey upon members of an identifiable group, people that in a group that they can relate to, that they build trust with, they have things in common. Number 2, which of the following is the fastest growing form of fraud in the United States? Ponzi schemes, identity theft, shoulder surfing, or 419 frauds? We know that it's identity theft. It's the fastest growing fraud in the United States. Number 3, what is the act of making or producing an illegal copy of items so they look genuine? Spamming, identity theft, shoulder surfing, or forgery. So you're making something look the same, like a signature or the amount on a check. It's forgery. You're forging something, making something look similar. Okay, number 4, skimming is a type of Ponzi scheme, phishing, affinity fraud, or credit card fraud. Okay, skimming is credit card fraud. That's when someone takes your card away from the area, like at a restaurant, when the waitress takes it away and they skim the information off the credit card. So it's credit card fraud. Number 5, credit repair scams promise which of the following? They're going to erase false information from your credit line. They're going to erase accurate negative information from your credit file. They're going to refinance lines of credit to reduce minimum payments, or they're going to lower interest rates on lines of credit. The only one that's going to make sense is they're going to erase accurate negative information from your credit file. So you've messed up your credit for whatever reason, because if it's not your fault, then the credit bureau is going to fix it. But if it is in reality accurate information, you just have not paid your bills on time, then credit repair scams are going to convince you that they can erase that information and make your credit better. So it's B. Okay, 6. Which of the following accurately describes watermarks? Subtle designs on the fronts and backs of checks, treatments of checks making void appear upon chemical application, metallic stripes containing holograms, small printing on the signature line of a check. Okay, it's subtle designs. It's A. Watermarks are subtle designs on the fronts and backs of checks. You can also put watermarks on photographs and that distinguishes them that they're yours and that no one else can copy them. Okay, number 7. What are non-sustainable business models which involve the exchange of money? Is it Ponzi schemes, elevator schemes, pyramid schemes, or 419 frauds? Okay, this is C, pyramid schemes. They're not sustainable business models. They're not going to last forever. They're just going to last long enough for the people at the top to make some money, and then other people lose money. So it's pyramid schemes, C. Number 8. What are fraudulent investment operations which involve paying abnormally high returns to investors out of the money paid by other investors? Is it Ponzi schemes, elevator schemes, pyramid schemes, or 419 frauds? Okay, we know that Ponzi schemes always involves investments. Ponzi schemes are investment related. It's where they're offering to invest your money in a high rate, and you're going to get a high rate of return, and it is a scheme to get your money and use it for their own benefit, and it is a Ponzi scheme. So that would be A. Number 9. What is obtaining property or money which does not belong to you from any federally insured financial institution, as in a bank? It wouldn't be insurance fraud. It would be bank fraud. Anytime you are trying to scam a bank or a financial institution, a federally insured financial institution, an FDIC insured institution, which all banks are, is bank fraud. Okay, number 10, workers' compensation fraud is a type of what kind of fraud? Insurance fraud, bank fraud, utilities fraud, or government documents fraud. Okay, workers' compensation is something that if you get hurt on the job, it's a type of insurance that will pay you while you're off and pay for your hospital bills or your doctor bills. So from that we know that the answer is A, insurance fraud. It would be insurance fraud, workers' compensation.